in the entire country that think it's all right that we're spending £10 million on the canonisation of this wicked woman, this woman who laid waste to industrial Britain, to the north, to Scotland, to South Wales. We've already had the recall of Parliament last week, with MPs being paid up to £3,700 to fly back from the Caribbean holiday that they were on, and then fly back to start their holiday again, for a totally unnecessary fawning over this woman.
Well, George
and now
Galloway,
they want to cancel Prime Minister's questions. It's absurd.
Right, George Galloway, I mean, she was Prime Minister for 11 and a half years. She won three, well, hang on a second, she won 3 general elections. Surely she is a big enough political figure, whether you like her or not, to merit such a ceremony.
Mr. Wilson won 4 general elections. Mr. Attlee totally transformed the country in the wake of the Second World War. Neither of those had anything remotely like this tidal wave of guff that the country's been forced to listen to, particularly on the BBC. And when they bought Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, you censored it as the only means they had of expressing their own rejection of all of this. The comparison of Margaret Thatcher with Mr. Churchill is utterly absurd. We'd be conducting this conversation in German if it was not for Mr. Churchill. He saved the very existence of this country, while Mrs. Thatcher did her best to destroy what was good about this country, and did destroy more than a third of our manufacturing capacity, reducing us to the state we're in now.
All right,
people are very angry in Britain, and it's not reflected in your studio, and it's not reflected on the BBC.
Right, but George Galloway, you're reflecting it very clearly and loudly.
First time you've had me on in 1 week. She died 1 week ago. Hundreds of thousands of people have been following me on social media, but I never got one invitation to speak on the BBC.
I think you'll find this is the first programme back after the Easter break, and you're on it, George Galloway. So can I just say to you, those sentiments that you have expressed, all that is being asked is there a different time to express those sentiments? On the week that her funeral is taking place, isn't this a time to rise above that sort of debate and save it just for another time?
But that's what people said last Monday. Now it's this Monday. How long have we got to observe this fake silence on the record of a woman who caused such destruction in this country? Wreckage. Ming Campbell's a Scottish MP. The Tories were reduced to 0, no MPs in Scotland. Their brand is utterly poisonous in large parts of the north.
Well, Ming Campbell has said he disagreed with those policies.
They lost their deposit against me in the by-election.
Is there a difference?
Just a few weeks
Is there a difference, George Galloway? Because actually both Tessa Jowell and Ming Campbell have stated very clearly that they disagreed with her policies. Tessa Jowell went on marches during 2 of those elections against her policies. Is this a difference between the way you express your outrage and disgust, whether it is done in a more polite way just for this week, or whether you do it in, I'm just asking, or whether you do it in the way that you've expressed it?
Was Mrs. Thatcher polite about the miners when she destroyed their communities, leaving them social slag heaps of needles and crime and vice and idleness? Was she polite to the steel workers when she destroyed them, to the print workers when she destroyed them? She laid waste to this country. What are you talking? Spare me this sanctimony about politeness, please. There are millions of people in this country hate the very word Thatcher, and Thatcherism, which continues until this day.
George Galloway, I think we did try to get hold of you actually for a programme earlier, but we weren't able to. But thank you for appearing on the programme today.